Hey guys, really excited to bring this video to you guys today. I'll be making a Xilonen and Mualani guide, and yeah, she is pretty broken. I just put her yesterday, and I got kind of lucky. I won the 50-50. So just to go over her kit, she's basically a better version of like just a support unit that Mualani really needed, because Mualani's support, like the way her playstyle overall leaves her quite empty to certain buffs. I'll give you an example, like Kazuha's buff. Kazuha's buff only lasts for 10 seconds, and he can't apply Hydro with his ult. It's actually not that good to infuse Hydro with his ult if you're using them together, and the main reason is because Mualani then won't be able to vape her E hits. So that like kind of leaves Mualani with very few limited options like that are able to consistently support every single one of her hits, and she can do normally 3 hits. So the perfect replacement for that is Xilonen, and she is so OP honestly with Mualani. As you saw in the first clip of the video, she really makes being able to run longer rotations with Mualani possible. Along with Xiangling too, she buffs everyone universally. So if you don't know how she works, she has her E, which does, when she do 3 normal attacks, it allows her to collect samples of whatever element you have in the party. So right now I have 1 Geo sample that's already there, 1 Pyro and 1 Hydro sample. So I'm not going to talk about too in depth with Xilonen, because there's so many guides out right now that you can refer. But yeah, for Mualani, what you need to do is just get these 3 hits with her normal 1, 2, 3, and that's it. She'll normally just exit out of her E automatically, like in Abyss and outside of Natlan. So that's when you know that she's ready. And once you do that, she activates this field around her, which I will showcase like the next Abyss clip. Will showcase that. So what this does is it permanently shreds whatever enemy you hit. It permanently shreds 40% of their resistance. So basically it's not 40%. So right now at level 8 talent for my Xilonen, she is shredding 30%. But I do plan on crowning her, and I will 100% make a video after I do crown her. I just don't have the resources right now, and it's all time gated behind the weekly boss, which is super annoying. So yeah, I do plan on crowning her, and at her crown level she does, I'm not exactly sure, but she does 36 or 38% resistance decrease, which is very insane honestly, considering you're not relying on an artifact to do that. She does that in her base kit with no constellations. Moreover, she does it so consistently because you don't need to activate it, and she does it off field too. So with Mualani, she's like a perfect pair. And Mualani also has this other passive which increases her damage dealt, or sorry, it increases her max HP based on how many Natlan characters she has. Which I'm not sure if I can find that passive right now. Let me just bring it up. Okay, it's here somewhere, dude. Okay, yeah, the rotation I'm using is pretty straightforward. What I'm first doing is applying Xilonen's buff, because it kind of lasts the longest. It lasts around 15 seconds. So first I'm applying Xilonen's buff with her E, and I'm either gonna ult during this period, or I really don't want to waste time, so normally I'll ult when the rotation ends, once I'm done with Mualani's stuff. Yeah, if you're low on HP, this is a good time to ult. I'll first do Xilonen's E, then I'll go on to Mualani, apply Hydro, then I'll go into Xiangling, apply her pop Guava down, then I'll go to Kazuha, sword with him, and Kazuha's sword only lasts 10 seconds, and normally this buff, and I will ult with Kazuha as well, but normally this buff only lasts for 10 seconds. And by the time you come around to Mualani, she will probably run out of, like, after her second hit. So it's not really optimal. It's not really the best person to use with Mualani, but my Kaza is pretty good, like pretty well invested. He has 737 EM, and he has a Freedom Sworn, which you can use on Xilonen, by the way. I will go through the builds again in the end, but you can use the Freedom Sworn on Xilonen, and Kaza is able to make use of the Freedom Sworn's buff, which involves him making triggering two elemental reactions. So I will normally ult if I do have the ult, which gives a maximum amount of buffs, and then finally I'll move on to Mualani, and you can see I get pretty huge hits, like around 300k, and even her ult, yeah, her ult is doing 500k, which is surprising to me because I've not seen her do higher numbers, and I've not seen any character, to be honest, in my roster do such a high damage output. Honestly, so it's like very, it's very fun to see, and this is the most fun I've had playing Genshin, to be honest, in the last few 1 month or so. This is the most fun I've had, and Xilonen really enables that. Her playstyle is really fun, really straightforward, and she was super easy to build. I pre-farmed for her obviously, but yeah, I finished building her in like maybe 5 minutes. So she was very straightforward to build. Moving on to the build, I have Xilonen here. She's at a good amount of defense, and the reason I was able to get up to such a high defense is because of the weapon. And not many of you might have access to this weapon. Just a disclaimer: this is not her best weapon, and it's not even her top 5 weapon, to be honest. A better option, a better 4-star option would be the Felonious sword. This sword is really good, and it's honestly one of the better support weapons in the game, and it's really good. If you do have to end up building a little bit of crit on her, but I think that's a good sacrifice to be able to supply energy. Shangling, like if you're using Shangling, she's super energy hungry. Like I bring this up in almost every single time. That's the one thing I hate about Shangling. She's super energy hungry, so this really helps if you do instantly switch to Shangling or Kazuha. So yeah, this is a better option. Another better option would be the 4-star Natlan craftable sword that gives straight defense percent, and I believe it has a really good passive that is good for her. Boost the defense as well. Yeah, I'm just using the Cinema Spindle because I had Albedo with it, and I just thought like I didn't want to, spend time and resin just to build another weapon for her. I will eventually get her on a different weapon. I'm not quite sure. So yeah, moving on to her artifacts. Obviously, she has a hero set, which gives this set is absolutely broken. Like it gives a lot of energy. It gives like 6 energy over here, which is pretty good considering how she is a little bit like it's not very consistent. That you do get a burst with her, but I do prefer having her burst. Just a side note that she does not need to burst every rotation. She is not very burst dependent. None of her support abilities do depend on her burst. As you can see, I have her at level 6, and her healing is so good. Like it's not the best in the game, of course, but for what she does and for the way her teams play out, like especially with Mualani, it's more than enough. And that's what I was missing in my previous Abyss clear, is not having a healer with Mualani. So this is really like it's really helpful for her. So yeah, moving on. Yeah, so I was able to get energy recharge stance. I don't really have a good defense stance. I'm still working on her artifact. So yeah, ER stance, defense goblet, and defense circlet. Obviously, like this is very standard. I'm still working on some of the artifacts, as you can see, but it doesn't make a huge difference. Her defense percentage only affects her ability to heal. So just focus mainly on her talents, which I will eventually, like I said, I will eventually crown her talents. There's no doubt about it. She will be my first crown talent because this makes a huge difference for her. So yeah, moving on to Mualani. I did show her before, but I'm not gonna like go too in depth with her. To be honest, I'm very happy with where she is, but comparing her to other Mualanis, like other characters that other people's build, she's not the best, and she doesn't really even have a 4-piece Obsidian Codex. And to be honest, the reason I don't have it is because it's been a fucking nightmare to farm. It's been the worst domain. I used to think the emblem domain has been the worst for me, but no, this domain has been so bad. And I see people on Reddit with such insane stats and such insane
build from Mualani, and I'm just surprised honestly. Like this is kind of the best I can do, and this weapon really carries me a lot. Like I said, no cons. I really wish I had her C1. I still regret not getting her C1 or like not going for it. But yeah, her C1 is pretty broken. 8-8. Yeah, I am planning on clowning Molani's burst too, but yeah, that's still like a faraway goal. I'm gonna prioritize Xilonen first because um, he will help out every other Natlan release, or not even just Natlan. To be honest, since I've had Kazuha, he's been one of the characters that I genuinely believe she can fit into any team, and even the best team out right now, which is Xilonen, Kazuha, Furina, and Nubilet. That team, I've seen so many players with that team, and that team is so broken. It's insane, honestly, to see the a character comes out and they're this flexible and this supportive to like almost every team in the game. So yeah, it's been really fun playing with Molani and Zilonen together. And I don't think I don't see myself um, replacing her, or like I don't see myself not using her in many teams like moving forward. I will test out most teams with her, including her. And yeah, thanks for watching and thanks in regards.